So I would absolutely love to welcome to my show today. I have Amadeus Cavalera from Go Ahead and Die. Welcome.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely my pleasure. Thank you for doing this. I'm first and foremost, I'm really enjoying the music. I mean, that's what you're here to talk about. But I just want to put that out there on camera.
No, of course.
I'm really loving just like, I mean, the self-titled album you got coming out on the 11th of June. Is that right?
That is correct. Yeah. 11th of June.
My notes are correct. That's good. Yeah, this is it's a heck of an album. It's really like, I know, I just love the raw energy that it gives. It kind of gives me like, takes me back to that kind of like hardcore punk time of my life. And some of the bands around then that I was listening to, and it's I love it. There's some great tracks on there. We'll talk about the singles in a moment, but Punisher, I love Punisher. I love
great. Awesome. Yeah, you've heard the whole thing. That's
I have
great.
heard the whole thing. Yeah, they the people at Nuclear Blast were happy enough to send it to me, and I was happy enough to take it and listen to it.
That's good. We got more to talk about then.
Excellent. Yes. But yeah, I mean, starting with the singles you guys have just released, Toxic Freedom. That was the last one you just released.
Yeah.
Tell us a bit about that one, just because that's what people can hear right now. So.
Yeah. No, it's a good song. Definitely more on the punk crusty kind of side, as opposed to the more thrashy death metal side. But that doesn't go without saying it isn't brutal or something. It is brutal. It's heavy for sure. But no, it's an aggressive song. It's politically charged. You could call it a protest song. It's definitely referencing the police brutality in America and around the world. The just absolute corruption and abuse of power going on and all over the world that we can all come together and agree on, is wrong and messed up. So it's the right time for this type of music. It's the right time for a song like Toxic Freedom. And especially with the conviction of Derek Chauvin, I think this song couldn't have come at a better time.
No, definitely. And having lived in the States myself, you watch the news every day there, and it's something different every day. It's the same thing, but it's just like different people. And it's like police brutality. It's the shootings, the all that kind of stuff. And it's just, it's baffling. I was there for about 5 or 6 years, and I was in Florida.
What area?
Florida.
Oh, that's where I am. Funny enough,
really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I moved here 2 years ago. My wife's family lives here.
Oh, fair play. What part of Florida are you in?
I'm on the west side. I'm like just south of Tampa.
Oh, that's where I was. I was in Tampa.
Oh, funny. Yeah, no, that's real fun. Yeah, I'm just south. I'm in Sarasota.
Okay. Yep, I know it. I've got friends who still work down that way.
That's awesome.
I work for the same company I work for still, and it's a lovely area, I'll tell you that. But
lovely area. Swamp folk are a little different though, for sure.
Yes, exactly. I worked in a retail kind of capacity there, and you met all sorts.
Definitely, no doubt.
But I was up in like Tampa, St. Pete, those two areas I lived in.
Awesome. Now, death metal capital of the world, man. I love it.
And I got to see a lot of shows there, which was great as well. So
that's awesome.
No, that's great. Excellent. But anyway, back to the music and stuff. I mean, Toxic Freedom, I love that track. It was that was the first one I heard of you guys, actually.
Cool.
That was sent to me, and I played it, and I was like, I like this. And then I heard what was the other one? The Truckload Full of Bodies.
Yeah.
So I got that right. That was the other song I heard, because that was the only other one available on the streaming services. And then
those are the two you can get to right now. Yeah. The rest is coming.
It's worth the wait, everyone. Yes,
definitely.
But I mean, tell us about the Truckload Full of Bodies track. What sort of like what was behind that one?
The COVID pandemic, definitely. It was I guess you could say it was a dark reflection of the reality of the situation, not only the disease itself, what it was doing, the type of havoc it was kind of wreaking around the world. It dealt with that, but also from our perspective, we didn't get a lot of political aid during the pandemic. A lot of businesses closed. A lot of people lost their jobs. All of us musicians, our entire industry went under last year, and we didn't really get much government aid or anything like that. And so it's a dark reflection of it. It's a reflection of how we didn't really get help. It kind of ties into the band name of like "Go Ahead and Die" and stuff like that. It's sort of black humor, of like in times of crisis and in times of insane political madness and a pandemic and all this stuff. The government basically went, "Go ahead and die,"
Yep.
And so that's kind of, while Truckload is a dark, like, even with the music video is kind of like a horror movie with the morgue freezer and the body bags and all that stuff. It's a dark song, but it does have a underlying sense of, as people, just do what you can, and as people face this pandemic, this plague, whatever you want to call it, as neighbors and brothers and family, and treat people with respect and stuff like that. So it's a dark song, but it has a good message underneath it, like most of the record, I would say, is like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's got, I mean, just reminding me of actually what came out in our press recently. Our prime minister, if you can call him that, was there was some like messages exchanged that have been leaked, and he was just like saying like, "Let the bodies stack up." So it was that kind of thing that I kind of like got from it, and it was there. I think that resonated with me on that level, because
No, definitely. As long as the machine keeps turning and the money keeps being made, they don't care how many people get tossed in the pile. And we definitely reference that multiple times throughout this record.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, like I say, I've been lucky enough to hear the whole thing, and like I say, I'm loving it. Like those track, Roadkill, El Cuco as well. That was another I really liked. And no, I mean the whole album is like, I mean, I can't sort of get out of sort of asking about this, but what was it like working with your dad on this? As everyone like would probably knows, it's Max Cavalera. I've followed that guy for years. Just to sort of give you my sort of like from Nail Bomb, Sepultura, Soulfly, Cavalera Conspiracy, and I saw like Soulfly's first London show in England.
That's awesome.
I still have the 3/4 length the Soulfly logo on it. I bought from the show.
Nice. That's awesome.
Bizarre.
That's awesome.
But no, what was it like? Kind of like, obviously we know your dad's legacy and everything, and you've grown up with him, so he's your dad. But what was it? Was this the first time you kind of worked together on music?
Well, I've gotten the chance to play with him before, when Soulfly was in between bass players in 2015. I filled in and played bass for 2 tours. So we've gotten to like play together and jam and have fun and do stuff like that. But it was always playing his stuff, or filling in for something of his bands. Or even when I was very young, he'd pull me on stage and do one song for fun or something like that, but this was the first time we just started from scratch, from the groundwork, and built it up. And it was an awesome process. We like, it's funny because we're a couple generations apart. He's my father. There's a bit of, you could say there's almost distance in that way of us being family and being personal and all that stuff. You don't often get to work together and do stuff like that. But we both love the same music, and we both love heavy stuff, extreme stuff, punk, hardcore, death metal, grind, all of it. We're both fans of it. So when it came time to actually make music, it was really natural and pretty easy to to flesh out because we didn't have a whole lot of disagreements and stuff. You know, it wasn't like one of us wanted it to go this way, one of us wanted to go that way. We could just agree that we liked extreme shit, so let's write some extreme stuff, you know. And it was great, you know. And he let me have a lot of freedom. He didn't, you know, he didn't try to doubt me or use his you know, use his presence to overpower me or anything. He definitely let me have my input and have it turn out the way that I wanted it, just as badly as he wanted it, you know. So all in all, it was a cool thing that I'll remember forever, you know. Some father sons go for a fishing trip or a hunting trip or a vacation, and we just decided to cut an extreme record.
Why not? Why not?
Yeah,
Indeed.
you know.
That's awesome. I was just like, you know, because I being like I've interviewed sort of like offspring of, you know, famous musicians and things like that before, and I'm always curious about the sort of the writing process when it comes to it, because obviously you've got someone like your dad who's incredibly sort of established within his field, and then obviously, you know, he wants to bring, or, you know, bring you into that to a certain degree, because I know you've got other stuff going on as well. But, you know, I was just curious how that works, because it's just sort of, it's nice to know that he kind of let you be who you want to be, rather than trying to I wouldn't say clone, but, you know, use the same sort of like techniques that he has, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I definitely pushed him out of his comfort zone a couple of times.
Nice.
And because I'm a little more tripped out than him. Even my other band, Healing Magic,
Yeah.
We're totally in the stoner, psychedelic, ambient type of music. So I'm definitely, I'm a little more weird than him when it comes to what I listen to and what I'm into and stuff. He's a caveman. He loves that old school, just beat down metal,
Yeah.
total assault, you know. So you know, I would push him to think outside the box and maybe let's go a little more punk route on this song, or let's throw like a crazy noisy part into the middle of this one and put samples on it, or put samples through a couple of the songs on the record, you know, stuff like that, just to push it into new areas and stuff like that. But writing itself was just a day-to-day thing. I live in Florida, but I grew up in Arizona. That's where my parents met. That's where they've lived for over 20 years now. You know, I went back home, and that's where we wrote the record. So we were actually just out at my folks' place in the desert, and with no distractions, no nothing, just working on every day. So it was one of those things where you know, this song maybe came out brutal because we were listening to Entombed that morning, getting ready to jam, or this one came out more crust punk because we put on Discharge. And you know, so it was one of those things where the writing was just a day-to-day thing where you know, I'd wake up and maybe take a walk or something, then come back and pick up my guitar and come up with that idea for the day, and then my dad would come in and we'd start feeding off each other's energy and things like that. But all in all, it was natural and just comfortable process for both of us. You know, he pushed me to try new things, and I pushed him to try new things as well. So I think you can hear that there's two composers almost.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. I was going to ask you about Healing Magic as well, because I listened to some of that, and I'm really enjoying that as well. And this is quite a sort of like you say, it's like it's quite a jump from from that, because it is very kind of like more psych, more stoner. You know, it's got that kind of like yeah, just playing around with the sounds and time signatures and stuff. So but
yeah, no, oh, sorry, go on.
No, I was just going to ask you how that band's going and stuff, and what your sort of like plans are for Healing Magic.
It's going really good. We released our first release last year. We finally got to put out our first EP, which is called Restoration. You can check it out on streaming things and stuff like that. We got to do some tours, stuff like that. It's a lot of fun. I've always been you know, when I got into punk and stuff, it led me into every other outlet of music. And as much as I got into death metal and fast extreme stuff, I got into doom and sludge and stoner just as heavily, if not even more heavily. So when it came time to make some of my own music, I definitely wanted to go for that tripped out desert kind of vibe. You know, so Healing Magic is definitely my outlet to do stuff like that. And I don't know, it's just a fun band. We're kind of weird. We're a two-piece. We don't have a bass player. Nobody's ever been cool enough to hang with us, and you know, it's one of those things where me and Johnny, like, we just like things kind of our way, so we're just like, we're gonna make it work. But no, I play guitar through like 3 different cabinets, and you know, it sing through multiple microphones and do weird stuff, and you know, it's just it's a totally like no holds barred, limitless type band, you know, that we're having a lot of fun with. And I love it because it's so polar opposite from Go Ahead and Die, that you know, it's not like I'm just boxing myself in, you know.
No, definitely.
But we do actually, with Healing Magic, have a full-length record coming this year as well. Go Ahead and Die and Healing Magic just need to be spaced far enough to where they don't impede on each other. But we will have an album coming with that band as well. And when that comes around, you can imagine videos, music, you know, music videos, you know, lyric videos, things like that, you know. So all year long, there's going to be content coming from me.
Awesome. No, I look forward to hearing that as well. But let's go back to Go Ahead and Die, and just sort of like discuss some of the rest of the album, because obviously at this point no one's heard quite a lot of it. Obviously the people around it, I've heard it just because I'm in journalistic world. But yeah, I mean, like I said, I love tracks like Punisher, El Cuco, I've said it again, Roadkill. What tell us about those tracks, if you don't mind, because those are like sort of my, along with the 2 singles, a lot of like standout ones for me.
Yeah, no, I'll start with Punisher. Punisher was cool. It's a crazy song. It's really weird to come up with. It took a couple different versions and different ideas and stuff to get it actually how it is for the record. But I love it because it's totally just blistering brutal for 2 minutes, and then it goes into this like drone breakdown, weird thing at the end. And then, like I said, that's one of the ones that has samples and stuff on it. We sampled lots of like news reporters talking about public shootings and stuff like that, because that's I guess you could say that's what the song is centered about, and just the sad reality that in America it's completely normalized. You know, kids are taught in school what to do if it's getting shot up. Teachers are being taught to have firearms on campus and stuff like that. And to us, it's a horrible reality, and it's also you know, it's a I hate to say it this so bluntly, but really it's a sick individual that can kill children and not feel anything about it, you know. So once again, it's a dark topic, but it's intended to bring awareness to it, and bring awareness that this should not be normalized, and this should not be something that we just get used to. You know, it should be something that we work on to try and fix, to make better in this country.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, and so that's Punisher's kind of like theme, you could say. From there, you know, you mentioned Roadkill. Roadkill is a bit of an oddball as a song, because if anything, it's the slower one on the record. It's much more, you could say, almost epic, or even borderline getting into the sludgy kind of side of things, you know, being about 6.5 minutes long and stuff. But it's really heavy, you know. It's got almost a little industrial influence as well. So it's a trippy song itself, but lyrically, it's centered around I guess you could call it a crisis of homelessness in America. How hard it is to get employment, how hard it is to get a home, to live on your own without having 4 or 5 jobs. Uh, uh, it deals with a lot of things. It comes from a personal place. I can honestly say I grew up in Phoenix. Phoenix is a pretty big town nowadays. I have had multiple people I know go homeless and shit like that. So it comes from a personal space of people who can't get help with mental illness and drug addiction and things like that.
Yeah.
And it's a problem, and every song on this album deals with a different problem in one way or another, something that we're frustrated with, something that we're upset about. So I mean, I could go for hours about this stuff. These are things. I'm a compassionate person about these things, and I'll find myself rambling to a certain degree. But the album hits everything from COVID to political corruption to police brutality to homelessness to child trafficking and sexual abuse and things like that. And we hit it all because it needs to be mentioned, and it needs to be brought to people's attention.
Yeah, exactly. I couldn't agree with you more. There's a lot, like I say, there's a lot going on in the world, and that sort of stuff, it does get brushed under the carpet, especially in America. Like with the shootings and stuff, it is normalized. It's like, oh, another day, another shooting. It's like, and the other countries, having lived in like England and here, we have gun laws here, I should say, where it took one sort of school shooting like 20-30 years ago to really properly ban them out, whereas kind of in the States it hasn't taken. There's always opposition to it, be it the Constitution, be it anything like that. And it just baffles me that it's quite obvious what the kind of problem is, but the reluctance to change or to try and fix that problem is opposed.
No, of course. And it even comes down to beyond a gun problem, it's a mental illness problem. It's the stress of the world we live in, and the chaos and the struggle of everything that leads to violent crime and leads to these things. And like I said, but before guns even come into the situation, people's minds need help first. And this album definitely addresses that a lot. Of the problems are a global thing, they're a human thing. We can all share them because we all go through something in one way or another. So that's the message.
Awesome.
Acceptance, equality, these types of things.
Excellent. Well, I've got a couple of questions left for you, and I'll let you get on with the rest of your day.
Yeah, no problem.
So these ones are more sort of centered around yourself and what you sort of grew up with and everything like that. But what I want to know are, I used to ask people what their 3 most sort of like pivotal albums were. But what I've changed that up recently. What I want to know are your sort of like honorable mentions. So not like your most favorite album in the world ever is the White Album by the Beatles, or Appetite for Destruction, or whatever, the sort of the classics. What I want to know are the sort of like outside that top 10, if you will, those sort of honorable mentions. Like you've named your 10, and then suddenly you go, I want that album.
No, definitely. I'll keep them centered towards Go Ahead and Die too. What we were taking influences from for that album, but definitely I'd say first and foremost, Discharge, Hear Nothing, See Nothing, Say Nothing. To me, that's like the punk Bible. The sound of it, the content, the vibe, everything about it is enjoyable, angsty, frustrated. It's what every teenager should get into if you're getting into heavy music. And after that, I would mention Celtic Frost, Morbid Tales.
Nice.
For sure, without a doubt. That's another one of those. It's like a Bible of metal. It influenced so many bands. Without it, a lot of bands probably wouldn't even exist. I wouldn't think guitar is cool or playing fast extreme music is cool without Celtic Frost. So I have to mention them.
Nice.
And lastly, I'll go with Left Hand Path from Entombed.
Nice.
Because not only R.I.P. LG,
yeah,
but it's one of the greatest death metal records of all time. And we wouldn't have done Go Ahead and Die, or at least if we had, it wouldn't sound as good as it does without Left Hand Path influencing us. So definitely those three would be the biggest influences for Go Ahead and Die, in my opinion.
Nice.
and three mentions that I can't not mention, you know.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, those are three solid albums. I mean, I love Entombed, obviously, you know, rip LG, but and that band, Wolverine Blue, just loads of tracks. I love it.
All of it.
all of it. Celtic Frost, or Celtic Frost, again, a great band, and Discharge as well. If you want that kind of I'm gonna go and listen to those. I've been listening to a lot of Entombed recently because of what's happened, but I'm gonna go listen to some Discharge, and I haven't heard them for a while.
Nice.
But finally, Amadeus, what I want to know are your hobbies away from music. So when you're not doing your other band, you're not doing this band, what sort of other things are you into?
I love reading and writing. I love fiction, love books, just everything from horror to sci-fi, fantasy, history, everything in between. I love reading.
Nice.
And I do write stories on the side. I would say at this point it's a hobby. I have actually released 2 novels myself through Amazon. They're horror novels. If you just look up my name, Amadeus Cavalera, you'll find them. You know, you can pick those up. I'm still working on other stories and stuff like that.
Cool.
Other than books and stuff like that, I love the outdoors. I go hiking a lot. Growing up in Arizona, hiking is like a very, very normal thing. And now that I'm over in Florida, I really like kayaking and water sports and stuff like that. So I like getting outside. I like the natural world a lot.
Excellent.
Yep.
No, that's cool. I'm gonna definitely check out your books because I love horror books generally.
Yeah, I have 2 out now. Scary stuff, definitely.
Excellent. I'm definitely going to get into that. That's all good. I'll get my Kindle out. Cool. Well, Amadeus, thank you very much for your time. I really appreciate it. Good luck with the album and everything. Hopefully, I don't know if the plans are to sort of play live or anything, but once this world kind of opens up again, I hope to see at least one of your bands play.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I plan to play with both of them. So just keep your eyes open for us.
Excellent. Well, man, thank you very much. All right.
Awesome.
Cheers.
Yep. Thank you. Have a good day. Bye.